Hudsonville Public Schools Board of Education regular meeting to order, and we will begin with our Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First up is approval of our agenda. If I can have a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Andrew, second. Second by Greg. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Alright. Next up, recognition of visitors and hearing of people present.
We have one that requested to speak. Aaron, do we?
If it's just me, then y'all are doing great. In the public comment.
Thank you.
Alright.
If you're gonna talk good about us, I mean. you
Make
know,
the full 3 minutes.
Alright, save it for next time.
Alright, next up we have, one action item, our consent agenda. You have the proposal for consent agenda item. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Movement from Ken,
I'll support.
second from Nick. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved. Alright, next up we have our regular board action agenda items. First up is our board policy approval for Title IX.
First, I'd like to thank the board for coming in for a special meeting this morning. As has been mentioned the last several weeks, there's been a lot of activity with the Title IX regulations, and it's been fluid. As of yesterday, we had another update regarding Title IX regulations. At one point, you know there's different states that have a stay with the regulations based on some of the definitions in there. It is still recommended that this policy is approved by schools that do have that stay. However, that was expanded from 9 schools in the state of Michigan to over 200. None of them in Ottawa County. The closest one I think would be Grand Rapids Christian and Caledonia, the closest ones in the area. So it is my recommendation. The board has reviewed the policy. I do want to clarify the policy is a procedural policy. When a complaint is filed, these are the procedures that will fall in line. I don't know if you had a chance to look at any updates I sent the board. They were posted. The only change was the policy numbers were clarified, so that we had the numbers correct based on, so they fall in line with Neola. We don't have a duplicate policy number with Neola, so we have a number that falls within a sequence for Neola, so that when we do take a look at truant policies overall next winter, I would say, we don't have to renumber everything. So those numbers were changed on the policy, and then the actual Title IX coordinator. The changes used to be 2 Title IX coordinators, and you have decision makers, and you have investigators. All of that now is streamlined, which is very helpful for our district and primarily for a lot of the smaller districts that didn't have that maybe the personnel to do this work. So Melissa Bernard will be maintained as our Title IX coordinator. Primary coordinator, Mike Petrolia, is we call a secondary or another Title IX coordinator. The key behind that is having 2 people that can serve both genders. And then we have Mrs. Armstrong will maintain as our civil rights coordinator when it comes from there. And we also have Melissa Bernard as our 504 coordinator. So those are 4 positions that we had to identify in the new policy. Those are identified going from there. So those are any of the changes that came out the last couple days as we finalized everything. So it's our recommendation to the board that we approve, that we ask you to approve this Title IX policy for that was presented to you. I will say that it also references, we also want to reference the second action item that we're going to ask, and I'll do that separately, but there are several policies I'll go through later that will sunset as of tomorrow if this policy is approved. That's our recommendation.
So you have the proposal for the first and final reading for the Title IX policy. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Ken, second.
Support.
Support from Andrew. Are there any questions for Dr. Vanderjack?
I don't have any questions, but I have some remarks that I'd like to read.
Okay.
I would like to thank and commend Dr. Vanderjack and our administration for the diligent and time-consuming work they have put into preparing the board for the vote we will take this morning. Along with this task is readying our staff to work within the structure of this new process. This work included extensive training, adapting to numerous changes and interpretations in the regulations, as well as the switching of law firms to better help us with these rule changes. The work in preparing for the change has been thorough and exhaustive. In addition, Dr. Vanderjack has made himself available to myself as well as other board members to answer any questions, concerns, and to receive our input. A personal thank you for your accommodations in this regard. I have, and I know many of my fellow board members have also spent much time and effort in reviewing, trying to better understand, and preparing for this new interpretation of Title IX. In fact, my remarks this morning were just finalized this past Monday afternoon after receiving school law notes from Throom and then having one more conversation with Dr. Vanderjack. Quoting directly from the U.S. Department of Education fact sheet, quote, "The final regulations strengthen vital protections for students in our nation's schools and provide clear rules to help schools meet their Title IX obligation to eliminate sex education in their education programs and activities. The final regulations also reaffirm the department's core commitment to fundamental fairness for all parties, the rights of parents and guardians to support minor children, respect for freedom of speech and academic freedom, and respect for the autonomy that complainants need and deserve when they come forward with a claim of sex discrimination," unquote. In spite of this strong endorsement from the Department of Education, 3 federal courts have ruled on behalf of 21 states seeking relief, as well as numerous other schools, colleges, and universities, including Hope College and Grand Valley State University, not to mention the additional ones that have been added since I wrote this, that these jurisdictions do not have to adhere to these new regulations at this point. This marked difference between these factions has left me with a pause for concern. It was my hope that before a change of this magnitude is undertaken, that we would see clear unanimity based on concise language that is understood and enforceable by and to all parties. However, I have been advised by both our legal firm and our administration that it would be best for Hudsonville Public Schools proceed in approving the policy at this time and move forward with this new process. On July 25th, our lawyers advised the following, quote, "Michigan school officials should note that even if Michigan as a whole or an individual school is added to this list, barring United States Department of Education enforcement of the 2024 regulations, Michigan's Elliott-Larsen Civil Rights Act of 2024 still prohibits discrimination based on gender identity and sexual orientation. The policy is intended to address complaints of unlawful discrimination, harassment, and retaliation, not just sex-based discrimination. The policy is also intended to streamline the process of handling complaints. With due consideration to all of my remarks, along with my own extensive examination and review of the proposed policy, I will be voting to approve the policy as recommended. Thank you.
Great, are there any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, we have a motion on the table. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. All right, motion passes. Next up, we have board policy revisions. Dr. Vanderjack.
Thank you very much. I'll be real brief. As you noted in the last meeting, we asked to approval of a policy to sunset to put a date so that if anything happens after August 1, we have a new policy. Prior to August 1, we want to maintain the policies. There are 12 other policies that are impacted by this adoption of our new Title IX policy. So the policies are existing, they stay. Nothing has changed in the policies, except we've added that these policies are only impacted by something that happened prior to August 1 of 2024. So the recommendation is to add that line into those other 12 policies, or I think there's 11 now. 11, because we already did one, and go from there, so that's our recommendation. I don't know if that, I went over that quickly, I know we talked about it before, but does that make any, I guess, I'll aim for
All right, so you have the proposal for the first and final reading of the board policies listed. Do we have a motion to approve?
So,
Motion from Ken, second?
I'll second that.
Second from Nick. All right, now we can ask Dr. Vanderjet questions. Any questions for Dr. Vanderjet? All right, hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Right, motion passes. Next up, we have a new administrative hire.
We are extremely excited to clearly get the year off to a great start before August 1 by asking the board to hire another administrator at Riley Street Middle School. As you know, Mr. Ross retired. Matt Bear did a great job as he worked his way to be the principal of Riley Street Middle School. After an extensive search, several internal candidates, external candidates, we highly would like to recommend Gabe Bazinski to be the new assistant principal at Riley Middle School. Gabe comes highly recommended not only from his district in Colorado, and to be clear, he was coming here regardless of coming to Hudsonville. He's coming to Western Michigan. I will say this, that Gabe and I had a chance to meet maybe a year ago, and inquiring about coming back to Michigan. The connection was that his wife played water polo for me about a long time ago. And so that was the connection, and we had a chance just to connect, seeing like, what is the climate in Western Michigan? We wanna come home. Now, a couple little kids. At that point it was one, but now 2 little kids. And I had the opportunity to watch him interview for the principal position, but then was unavailable for the assistant principal position. Of course, Mrs. Armstrong took the lead and does a phenomenal job, and just did a great job going through. So we'd like to recommend Gabe. He has a background in administration coming from Colorado, a former English teacher. Will do a phenomenal job over at Riley Street Middle School. So that is our recommendation for the assistant principal of Riley Street Middle School. And that's Gabe right there, if you can't figure out. The only person who don't recognize the audience, that's Gabe.
Not regular.
All right, so we have the proposal to appoint Gabe Buzinski as Riley Street Middle School's assistant principal. Do we have a motion? Movement from Mark and a second from Andrew. All right, any questions at all? All right, hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, welcome, Mr. Buzinski to Hudson.
It's that simple. Get up with little kids, drive all the way here, and have a class.
Kinda feel bad for you.
I appreciate that you're here.
Yes, very much so, welcome.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we have a discussion item.
Real quick, traditionally, I would talk about discussion items, and then we'd ask for them, and these are things that we would, but since we're meeting today, I asked President Hooper if we could put this on the agenda. The water polo team travels to Ohio for a tournament that happens to be, because we didn't have a work session in July until today, quite frankly, we weren't unable to do this. So I just to let you know that this is a request to go to Ohio again, play water polo, and we'll ask for approval at the next board meeting. This is really a work session conversation, but you're here. I wanted to say if you could, any questions about them going to a fairly intense tournament, I would say, because I've done it before a couple times. So, 2 of the best teams in the Midwest. If you've ever watched Olympic water polo, it is not that, but it's good. Any questions? That's it. That was just discussion over my phone. So, thank you.
Do you want to do a quick roundtable this morning?
Sure.
Start with Emery?
Gabe, great to have you here. Welcome to the Hudsonville family. Looking forward to bringing to the district and to, again, you being part of the excellence that we continue to promote and strive for and achieve here at Hudsonville. So, and thank you to Dr. Vanderjack and the whole team for just an acknowledgement of all the work that's gone into and has yet to go into the work on Title IX. I mean, lots of work, training, understanding moving pieces that are happening legally and so forth. So thank you for all of that. Just a lot of great work that's gone into that, and it helps to keep us ahead of most other schools in the state. So appreciate that.
Yeah, I'll echo that. Thank you, Dr. Vanderjack and your team. That's a sensitive subject with a lot of moving pieces, so a lot of work has gone into it. So thank you, and thank you to the board board too. I think, we all understand the importance of the subject too, and I think it was handled well across the board and appreciate that. And, yeah, our goal is to protect our students and staff, and we'll continue to do that, so, thank you.
Dave, welcome, best district in the state. We're happy to have you, and welcome home if your wife is from this area. Yeah, and I also would like to thank Dr. Vanderjagt. You have done an excellent job of keeping us informed and giving us training materials to review. So thank you, and I'll be able to do an awesome job.
Gabe, it's always wonderful to add another person of Polish descent to our group. Thank you very much for coming.
Welcome, Gabe. It's good to see you here. Thanks for coming here this morning. And thank you, Doug, and the rest of the team for everything. Back from summer science. Missed a couple board meetings, but thank you to my fellow board members and Dr. Vanderjagt for getting you up to speed and answering some questions for me while I was gone. We have amazing students. We have an amazing trip. And it's good to be back. It's good to see you on bed. And you're healthy. And I'm healthy. Everyone's healthy.
Welcome, Kate, good to have you here, you're doing a great team down there, Riley, you'll enjoy it. And thanks again, Doug, for your work on that night.
All right, I will take a motion to adjourn.
I'll move that.
Motion from Mark with a second.
Support.
From Andrew, all in favor say aye. All right, we are adjourned.
Go back to bed. Make up my envelope. I mean, all of the coffee and sugar right now.
Publicly, like, welcoming. I did that a couple weeks ago.
Aaron, good to see you.
You too, take care.
You've met this year, just like. Out in, where I was, but I kind of
Appreciate all of you. You know, those woke me up pretty much. And those shoes too. Yeah. Take care, Robin.
So I gave you that check. Tuesday, Wednesday. So my. Oh. You'll take that one, but then you
Good.
You should ride with that.